Hi everybody, one more time. I'm glad that you joined our webinar today. And my today's mission is to explain this magical three letters word KPI. So my agenda will be about learning objectives, what is KPI and how to use it, how to select the right type of KPI, why is it so crucial to select the right KPI, KPI examples and definitions, and of course case-based task, and be open for discussion. You can interrupt me whenever you want, so maybe we can start. Yep. So course learning objectives. At the end of the course, I hope that you will be able to use the right type of KPIs, use KPIs that can help your organization or team or you as a person to execute on your strategy more appropriately. And of course, understand how KPIs fit into an organizational structure or your goals. With this course, I hope you improve concentration into result, consistency, analytical and critical thinking, responsive planning, and of course effective communication with team members. I put this at the end, but I think that it is the main crucial point, effective communication with team members. So, first of all, I want to do a little research. Could you please show your virtual hands who knows or understand this term KPI? Be active. 1 person, 2 person, 3, 4. Okay. So, however, don't be upset. In meetings with entrepreneurs, most of them also don't even heard about what is the thing KPI, or even can't understand and are afraid telling the truth that we can't understand what is the thing. So I think this picture illustrates most situations. As you see, most of businessmen or regular ones just looks into graphics and thinks maybe I put a little ball at the end, so it looks like maybe it will bounce back. So, but the main idea is that KPI is a short explanation of key performance indicator, and I looked a lot of material in the internet, and I think that this explanation, which I want to show you, is maybe the easiest way to understand about what we are talking. So, first of all, an indicator is simply a measure used to capture a measurement in your business. For example, you might measure how many hours your employees work or the amount of paper used. It's important to note that indicators are very likely meaningless because they likely don't impact your business. For example, does it really matter how many hours of your employees have worked over the last week? It might only if you use those hours to bill clients, but otherwise there's nothing actionable. You can do with that bit of data. So going to the second level, a performance indicator tracks a measure related to your organization's performance or Mostly of you maybe now think just about yourself, your startups, your ideas or teams. But however, for example, manufacturing companies may choose to examine performance indicators around the number of raw materials sourced, the number of defects per manufacturer's lot, or the number of steps in your manufacturing process. But the performance indicator is missing one thing, and it's critical to the business. And that's where the key performance indicator comes in. So key performance indicators are the subgroup of performance indicators most critical to your business at the highest level of your organization. KPIs are used to help you measure your progress toward achieving your strategic goals. So from finance to HR to marketing and sales, key performance indicators help every area of a business move forward. So in at the end, I put sources. I think that I can't create any new explanations. Everything is in the internet, so you can find a lot of links, a lot of information. So, in my opinion, this explanation is maybe the best, the most simple and understandable. Another question: KPI meaning versus metrics meaning. Most people don't catch the difference. While key performance indicators and metrics are related, we are not the same. Here's a quick explanation. KPIs are key targets you should track to make the most impact of your strategic business outcomes. KPIs support your strategy and help your teams focus on what's important. An example of key performance indicator is targeted new customers per month. Very simple, understandable. Metrics measure the success of everyday business activities that support your KPIs. While they impact your outcomes, they are not the most critical measures. Some examples include monthly store visits or white paper downloads, but they are just metrics. Here are some specific reasons why KPIs are so useful. Key performance indicators can track progress down to the individual level. It is very interesting because, for example, one of the KPIs in your sales department might be the number of monthly sales closed per salesperson. Just imagine how it is simple to track the real situation, to put the right goals and to seek the results. What will make it clear how much each person is contributing to the success of the department. Make sure everyone is on the same page. I think this topic also is very important because different people may have different opinions of what success means if left to their own devices. For example, if an IT worker and a finance person are working together on a project, they might have very different ideas on measuring success. KPIs give everyone common goals to work toward. They keep everyone moving toward those goals instead of going off and doing their own thing. Okay, now going forward, how to select the right type of KPI. Common things key performance indicators might track: revenue, including average profits, total revenue, and new customers. Employment statistics, including employee turnover, employee performance, and vacancies. Customer service, including average call time, efficiency, and customer satisfaction. Marketing, including sales generation and overall effectiveness. Efficiency, including overall efficiency, departmental processes, and individual efficiency. So, one of the most effective ways of evaluating the effectiveness and appropriateness of KPIs is the SMART criteria. It is very simple and understandable way to show how we could or need to choose the right KPIs. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. In other words, how specific is the goal? Is it clearly measurable? How achievable is it? Is it relevant to the business? What is the time frame to achieve the objective? Going forward, identify the business goals. These goals may be, for example, cost per unit of production, uptime, and etc. Regardless to what is used, the goals must be identified. If a business is focused on overall equipment effectiveness, the appropriate maintenance KPI may be, for example, availability. Take the time to identify a few specific KPIs that will translate into the business goals. It is important to ensure that balancing KPI is identified for each KPI to ensure the right behaviors are embedded. What it means? It means, for example, we can have, for example, KPI productivity. But at the same time, we need to think about client satisfaction, about product or service quality. So please think at the same time from different perspectives and use these balancing KPIs just to ensure the right view of situation and direction. Why it is so crucial to select the right KPIs? There is 5 reasons why you need KPIs. One of them is to monitor company health. Another one to measure progress. To make adjustments and stay on track. Of course, to solve problems and tackle opportunities, and to analyze patterns over time. I put some examples from one dashboard. This is dashboard from internet. So just simple example. For example, marketing area. We can see that we have leads. So we can see during time period delivered this week compared with last week situation. So you can be on track and to change your action plan to do something. For example, talking about client support, call center, KPI could be calls per week, and you see the situation. Also, you can think, rethink, find which KPIs impact each other, which could be the best to you, your business, to your idea, to your goals. Talking about sales, for example, it could be new wins per week, and every week you can see a situation. There are a lot of programs, equipment online. I think there is free versions also, but however, you can do it by yourself just in a simple Excel way. But as I like to say, not just do photo of your history, but to act interactively and to look after these KPIs regularly and do action needed. Talking about other areas, shipping, for example, shipments on time per week percentage, talking about IT or research, how many bugs was squashed per weekend, etc. I have to you one example. With a lot of text. I will try, I think, to read you because it will be easier. And I want to ask you to do this task just now. First of all, I will read the case. This is just simple example. For example, company recycle points. Zooming in on a more local level, for example, Nigeria is one of the largest producers of solid waste in Africa and receives about 71,000 tons of used consumer goods from other countries each year. Lagos, Nigeria is the second fastest growing city in Africa and generates about 10,000 tons of waste per day. Recycle Points is a waste recycle and social benefit venture that helps address waste issue in Nigeria. The team has developed a point-based incentive model to collect waste materials while rewarding points that can be redeemed for household items or cash. The recyclables that are collected are processed and then sold to manufacturing and recycling plants that use items for the new materials. Recycle Points empowers low-income communities to recycle and be rewarded with real value of their waste. We have created 60 jobs in Nigeria and 80% of which are filled by women. So the task for you is to provide each participant in the comment section of a webinar with 3 KPIs that you think are suitable for the continued success of Recycle Points business. But first of all, I would like that you come with the questions to ask yourself. What is your desired outcome? How does this outcome help achieve your vision or success? How will you know you achieved your outcome? Is this leading indicator of performance or lagging indicator of performance? So please put 1, 2, or 3 KPIs to this situation you think would be suitable. And how to know did you get it right? So do you have a combination of leading and lagging indicators? Is the measure and target for each clear enough to stand on its own? Yeah, so I would like to stress that As I talked earlier, with these KPIs you need to put time period because these KPIs you wrote down are just how to say, one moment, metrics, because you need to have a concrete time period, for example, per week, per month, per year. Just saying I want to collect a concrete amount of waste or money isn't enough, because we need performance. Later on we will share with you links where I think information is quite simple, understandable, not going into high-level terms, simple English words, and etc. Because I tried to look for information in simplest explanation.